And one shameful thing I will tell you, I wish we have satellite so we can say, okay, spend 1 week in looking at the activities of foreigners in Nigeria. There are more foreigners in wrong places in Nigeria in hundreds of thousands by the day, just in search of solid mineral resources for themselves. But there are individual Nigerians who are standing in for them. I tell you today, with all sense of humility, none part of our borders is fully manned. There is no port today in Nigeria that can say, we have inspected all the containers coming to us and we issue them certificate of being arms free. None. I challenge you, none. It was of recent that some of us, one of the answers I can give you that may shock you is to start by looking at the histories of rigging activities in Nigeria. Rigging brought so many desperados in politics into importing arms and arming their own thugs to fight another party or other thugs across Nigeria. And when it started in the late 70s, nobody checkmated that.
This is what they do. These are people from Fiayabi.
We have satellite so we can say, okay, spend 1 week in looking at the activities of foreigners in Nigeria. There are more foreigners in wrong places in Nigeria in hundreds of thousands by the day, just in search of solid mineral resources for themselves. But there are individual Nigerians who are standing in for them. And there are hundreds of thousands of whites who sit with Boko Haram, who feed Boko Haram. They share common food. They recharge their batteries for their telephones, for their laptops, with which they have been communicated to by hostile international bodies in dealing with the same Nigeria. And such international hostile bodies are also patronizing your oil and your natural resources. And to you, it is right. And one disturbing thing we discovered is that the whole world over, anywhere you go, a foreigner has some no-go areas in that country. There are places you cannot go, but only in Nigeria. The citizen has some no-go areas. The foreigner has everywhere to go to. Only in Nigeria, failure of institutions, lack of foresight, lack of laws, lack of law enforcement, lack of knowledge in our law enforcement, lack of patriotism in our leaders or in some of our leaders at all sub levels that are entrusted to provide leadership. Meaning, once you have the leadership in Nigeria, you are just coming to do labor work in a scientific manner, carrying all along. That's why I can say at this point to tell you, any person that lacks the wherewithal, the energy, the vision, the capacity, the patriotism, any person who has stolen yesterday and coming to say, I have repented and I'm coming to provide leadership, that is deceit. Don't accept such a person. And I'm not campaigning. I'm not telling people to look for who, but I'm telling you there are numerous qualities to look for. But people with such qualities that are in the rest, if only Nigerians know, they should know that these are fake people. They are coming in to give you the worst that we are in.
I'm sorry.
I don't like delving into it, but out of education, and I think there is the need for us to talk about this. One may ask, what is the population of Libya? What is the population of their armed forces? What is the size, what is the strength of their own armed forces? Army, Navy, Air Force. What are their arms holdings? How can Libyan arms holdings be seen to supply the whole West Africa and North Africa? Is that a cover story? What's the quantity? Arms supplied to Libya are documented. They keep them in their armories. The countries that supplied them are known. And from serial this to serial this are there. The intelligence bodies in Nigeria and around the whole world, they do that. Once you take a weapon and then look at the number, you'll be able to know who manufactured it and for whom and when. And whose own armory is this supposed to be? I know there was breakage into their armories. I know there were rebels in Libya. But the number of rebels that emerged, a census was taken by United Nations. And they discovered in Tripoli alone, there were 301 rebel groups. I repeat, 301 rebel groups, a census taken by United Nations. These 301 are different rebel groups. They fight themselves. The question is, the arms are also not enough for them. What is the balance that came to West Africa? Who is involved in creating that story? Who is involved in arms importation, illegal, and arming his people that give us as a cover story? So that's why you see, once you see a political body or a country given a story, don't take it, look at it, x-ray it, and make sense. God has given you the capacity to ask questions and look for answers. I tell you today, with all sense of humility, none part of our borders is fully manned. There is no port today in Nigeria that can say, we have inspected all the containers coming to us and we issue them certificate of being arms free. None. I challenge you, none. It was of recent that some of us talked about scanners and became a challenge. So some of the bodies responsible for that, only last 2 weeks, they now became serious and began to say scanners are being imported and they are on their way. They said so. But we asked the questions. But arms have been coming in unabated. And there was a time also early this year when some of us, in trying to now identify this aspect of arms proliferation and then understanding the sources of promotion of insurgency in Africa, we discovered an Asian country that was importing a gun called AA, anti-aircraft guns, most dangerous. But then they discovered the weaknesses in Nigeria and in bringing these anti-aircraft guns, bigger, with bigger bullets that can bring down any aircraft, no matter the size. But Nigeria is their own transit point. So when the buyers in Nigeria collect them, they were also helping in transiting them to 3 other countries plus Nigeria, making 4. Mali, Mozambique, and Congo DRC. Congo DRC, Mozambique, Mali, and Nigeria, 4 of them, nothing more. But you know, in the aviation world, once rebels or bandits, as we have, or Boko Haram, began to get themselves armed much more with anti-air defense guns, then it is evident the aviation authority world over may declare your airspace what? A safety question. So you may be declared a no-flying zone. It happened before to Chad when rebels were fighting and they took a lot of anti-aircraft guns in their hands. So the whole world, all aircrafts were to bypass Chad in going to wherever they were, until sanity was restored with the president that was killed lately. So in Nigeria, there is much more from the international market coming through our waters into us, coming through our borders into us.
Security challenge, insecurity, security challenge, which leads me to this. Arms proliferation has bedeviled our society. What's your view? What's your view?
One of the answers I can give you that may shock you is to start by looking at the histories of rigging activities in Nigeria. Rigging brought so many desperados in politics into importing arms and arming their own thugs to fight another party or other thugs across Nigeria. And when it started in the late 70s, nobody checkmated that. And another thing that brought this hopelessness in where people will canvass for, get the support of the people, but at the end of the day, the queuing of people to vote for Mr. A or Party A, at the end of the day will have a contrary result, brought about people becoming desperate to know that we can fight it out. And that's why at any time you have had elections, until this moment, you can quote me, I say, until this moment. And that is one thing I haven't heard Nigerians talked about. You have insurgency, but you never sit down to say, what are the sources of supply of arms into the hinterland and to the wrong hands? What are the sources into the hinterland that is bringing in arms and ammunition that has created so many unknown armories from north to south? And there are too many of them, and it's scary. Today, there is not a single agency in Nigeria that can give you figures as to an estimate of arms in wrong hands or armories across Nigeria that are illegal, meaning that is not government's own. So at every single time there is election or there was election, you see the agencies were used. Now it's time for us to talk about it raw. Let me give 1979. In 1979, unfortunately, police were used to be able to tilt election elsewhere. And then it was in that process, at that material time, now police discovered between late hours and the early hours of the next day, stuffing boxes is a difficult thing to do that has to provide to all the polling stations in Brigham. Police discovered that no matter the stimulants you take, cola nut, coffee, ink on your right and paper on your left going this way will not stop you from going to sleep. This is how much we have invested in rigging. But they discovered that once you take the ink with a rubber band and tie it on your head, once your hand can come on top of your head to a ballot paper, without stimulants you can't sleep. This is discovery out of illegality on how to cheat ourselves. But then that hurt a lot of other parties at that material time. And people say, when next election comes, I will fight it out and I must emerge. That idea was into people. There was no reorientation. There was no address to the abuses. Cases were taken to court. The aggrieved were not addressed, were not compensated, were not assured. And another election came. The same thing happened. As far back as all the elections we have had, they all have their own histories. I'm not going to talk about that now, but every single election had had abuses meted to it. And we have gotten that documented. Most unfortunately. Some today are having direct connection with the current situations in Nigeria. Arms in wrong hands, drugs in wrong hands, armor is kept for them as and when the situation dictates. You go and take arms and fight. You fight fellow Nigerians because of political interests, not national peace. So you have people who are looking for power, but from the money they have stolen, from the abuses meted to the country yesterday, and from the bulgy pockets they have, they now finance people into creating more problems, in promoting more causes of insurgency in Nigeria's stability. Some of us are aware of this, and we have documented a lot of history, a lot of activities in our researches, and we believe we can address it, particularly investing in the younger ones, in reorienting them to now be seen as investments for tomorrow's activities in democracy.
How inefficient our institutions have been that actually let corruption become the order of the day is what leads me to this next question. We've seen corruption in public service. Now Nigeria has been embarrassed with a contract scam in the global community. A company P&ID stepped into Nigeria, tried to defraud us of 9.6 billion, and fingered our prominent public servants, particularly former Petroleum Minister Ibrahim Lukman, former Chief Justice of this Federation, Alpha Belgore, who incidentally was actually contracted by this same company to speak on their behalf against his country. What can we do first to checkmate such kind of contract drafting? Two, be seen to punish and sanction individuals, institutions that try to sabotage the integrity of Nigeria.
This is oil sector. You also, before I even answer you, you also lost Bakassi completely and nobody is saying anything, including the bar, National Bar Association of Nigeria. That is a monumental waste for numerous generations to come, looking at the resources on that island. If you can now talk about trillions of dollars from what is there, deposited from gas and oil, from the natural resources that supplies the fashion house in one of these NATO countries every year, and taking it away, and the country or the countries involved, Nigeria and Cameroon, are being left bare. We are busy borrowing while billions of dollars every year goes to such countries, and they are so heartless such that they are always happy to see us impoverished, and to see us begging, to see us taking loans, and they help in killing our institutions. They help citizenry in help to kill our institutions. To any person, any African, any Pan-African that will say, okay, let me take a look at these two countries. You go to the rural areas in Nigeria, you go to rural areas in Cameroon. At the end of the day, you will know that what is left of us in the definition true to itself of such a Pan-African who will look at Cameroon and look at the resources in Cameroon, come to Nigeria, go around Nigeria, look at Nigeria from the other point of view, and look at the two together from the point of view of African spirit, then you will know that either our elders who found themselves in power yesterday, or our elites who are in power today, or our younger ones who are well informed but they are in the unemployed world, or those who are in the either on the bar, or on the bench in our own judiciary, you will know that everything is wrong with all of us. Meaning you have all it takes to be and to be counted among the very first 10 in the whole world. But you are here sitting down there, and any tiny little force from anywhere will just come, take decisions that are regarded by any law as being extremely exploitative. And yet you accept it. And it goes, and you are busy complaining of lack of being. So to the very question you ask, and with the personalities involved, and today all I can ask is, where is the international law, and what were the rules expected of the international law? What was expected in our domestic laws in Nigeria? The question is, where is the case? And another question is, what are these forces that retarded it or kept it aside from being heard? And who are these Nigerians that are expected to speak out? Is it the human rights bodies, or is it the civil liberty organizations, or is it the CSOs in Nigeria? Or is it the Nigerian Bar Association? Or is it the bench itself? Or is it the African bench? Or is it the West African bench that are recognized? The matter, once it comes to the court, is a public issue. The one you may ask is, where is it? Or is it that you have had an executive body as at the time it happened that was part of secretly, or that compromised it? So that's why in Nigeria, first thing first, is a revival of the institutions that you have, so that Nigeria can be seen to stand on her feet. An issue where the poorest of the poor can say, I belong to this country because I know there are arrangements in the institutions that govern Nigeria, that cares for me, that protects me, and that will help me. There people will say, I have sense of belonging as a Nigerian. Then he can lean on to the country and give Nigeria its own services. Part of the breakages of your internal security problems today is simply because there is a wide gap between the have and the have not, being complemented by failure of institutions, and then from the greed of some certain individuals who ordinarily are expected to be seen to be fathers of the country or mothers of the country, as the case may be. So failure to provide leadership at different strata in Nigeria's life promotes numerous things, including this particular question you asked of. You may ask 9-point-something billion, and the question is, were you to be settled with the responsibility of investigating the contents, the genesis of the contracts, personalities involved, and then a certain fraction of it that permeated into pockets at home and outside Nigeria, you will realize that you have individuals who are bigger than your institutions, who are bigger than your country. One of the major causes of insurgency, because when an individual realizes that there is no hope in what he does, what he's saying, or what he anticipates to do to better himself, his country, his people, a collective interest of his tribe, of his religion, of his own region in the country, or a certain research of students, of relationship between people whom he believed that his dream would be complemented from discoveries from them. And if we realize that that is dashed, then mankind has options to go beyond or outside the law and act. It is visible in every part of Nigeria you go today. From the unemployed Nigerians, the young, vibrant, innovative, who are highly creative, who are very promising Nigerians, highly intellectual, they are there roaming our streets. When a brain from a vibrant soul that is ready to create and to innovate, and then is not being complemented, he sits and he can, anything negative comes his way, he may also be creative out of it, and that becomes a problem to the leadership to handle. And then if he sits down and realizes that he has all it takes to provide some certain innovative activities, particularly in the electronic world today, Nigerians elsewhere are doing quite a lot. And I met numerous younger ones who are ingenious and who are ready to create numerous things that will make them billionaires overnight. But in Nigeria, there are some certain people who are providing leadership in different strata, are always jealous of such innovative younger ones. And to us, part of our manifesto is to identify, to talent spot such persons and invest therefrom and giving them the opportunities to roll. We believe in the one saying, which is divine, and then also is the guiding factor to any activity of man in life, which says there is no end to possibilities in the life of man, in the life of a country, community, or committees of nation. It's God that said so. So if God has said so, and you are now depriving people of such opportunities, first of all, you are anti the Creator who set them forth to your country. None of us selected to say he consulted God Almighty before being created in Nigeria. We are all Nigerians by the wish of God. So you only woke up and saw yourself as a Nigerian. That is to say, your elders, your contemporaries, and your younger ones, and those yet to be born, in your own services, either sayings or actions, innovations or some certain creativities will come up as things that will complement the country and the people, including generations to come. The question you may ask yourself today, those in leadership, if you can assess them properly today, then the answer will be a sorry, regrettably, it will be a sorry response. Meaning, greed is the driving force to so many who found themselves in power. Unfortunately, it has become a culture. Rather than seeing yourself being opportunistic, if you are given the role to provide leadership to people. Providing leadership to the people alone allows your name to go into history. You become automatically a leader, and you can look in retrospect to say, that were the achievements we garnered for mankind yesterday when we had the opportunity. That alone presents you as an elder statesman. But in Nigeria, from our activities, it is evident that the definition of leadership has nothing to do with such services rendered. It is just seen from the point of view of one ugliest part of greed, meaning they found themselves in power and the opportunities open to them is to steal, and when they leave power, they are coming out super billionaires, and to them that is the yardstick of being identified as an elder statesman. This is a reversal way of looking at issues in life. If this has been the trend in Nigeria, at least time has come to get